Undoubtedly, your mind is your greatest asset, because nothing else matters in your life without it, without the power of decision-making, thinking, and choosing for yourself what you should do. How many are now with a perfect body but hospitalized in a psychiatric clinic because their mind got sick? Perfect body, sick mind, little use. What's the use of having a mind, a spirit, and a soul if this mind you have can discern the value of that soul? The mind was what differentiated the human being, which God has given us. What differentiates the human being from all the creatures of this world is the brain, the mind, which when well used can do very well. But the opposite is also true. So I want to talk to you about how to maintain this great asset, to keep your mind sound, healthy, clean, and skillful, to help you in everything you would do in life. Verse 7 from the second letter to Timothy, on chapter 1, it says, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear." God has not given us a spirit of fear, in other words, of dread, of cowardice, but of power. Pay close attention. God has given us spirit of power, so you who say, "I'm weak, without strength," what is lacking in you is the Spirit of God. Or, if He is in you, you are ignoring Him, because He is a spirit of power. Maybe you feel weak, but the Spirit of God is above our feelings. So it doesn't matter what I feel, but who I am, what is within me. And if the spirit of power is in me, then I am strong. That's why it says, "Let the weak say, I am strong. My strength is made perfect in weakness." Paul said that. So if you have the Spirit of God in you, you have the spirit of power. So God gave us the spirit of power and of love. So be careful when your heart is filled with anger, feelings of revenge, when you feel disdain and you start to despise people. These feelings have nothing to do with God, because the Spirit of God gives us love, not the cheap love sung in songs out there, but the love that comes from Him, the true love, the love that desires the best for people, regardless if they deserve it or not. So He gave us the spirit of power and of love. And the third point, which is the one I will focus on, and of a sound mind. In the Portuguese translation from the original Greek that the New Testament was written, sound mind was translated to the word spirit of moderation. Other translations say self-control, prudence, but in English, it was translated, in my opinion, more precisely, to sound mind. God gave us the spirit of a sound mind, a healthy mind. And even when you understand what moderation is, when you consider the meaning of the word moderation, you understand that moderation is the power you have to self-regulate. Do you remember adverts that say, "Drink in moderation"? I think it's funny. These kind of advert when talking about alcoholic drinks. Drink in moderation. But the alcoholic drink distorts the mind of a person. The moment that they start to drink, that starts to distort their mind. So their mind's no longer sound. How can they apply moderation when they are drinking? Okay, if you read the advert before reading it, but from the moment you drink the first sip, moderation goes down, because your capacity to think starts to be reduced. Am I right? So when you read drink in moderation, it is an advice that says to you that you should use your mind to self-regulate. No, this won't do me any good. This is not for me. This will harm me. So a sound mind can self-regulate. And that is why you need to protect your mind. You have to protect everything that comes to destroy, contaminate, and distort your mind. And what makes the human mind sick? We just spoke about one kind of mind sickness, which is addiction, whether alcohol or betting or pornography, any kind of addiction or drugs sickens the mind. Why? Because addiction is a repetitive action that does harm to the one who practices it. But because it brings an immediate pleasure, so the mind is trained to only seek the pleasure and to ignore the bad consequences. So any addiction sickens the mind. I usually say that the more addiction, the less reasoning. The more addiction, the less reasoning. The more the person practices addiction, the less they think. So the mind is sickened. So if you want to have a sound mind, eliminate addictions from your mind, protecting your mind from breaking the addictions out of your life. Because a sound, healthy mind does not allow it to be addicted to anything but to do good. So what sickens the mind? Addictions, other things that sickens the mind. Information, the bombardment of useless and futile information in this world can also sicken our mind. Today we live in the information age. You wake up with countless notifications on your mobile phone, messages waiting for your attention, your social media with countless notifications. So you wake up with the temptation to take the information and absorb it. And the world tells you, you must be connected. The world, the means of communication, to not lose the audience, they say, the person must be connected. You must be the first to know. You must be well informed. So the person thinks that they have a need to know the news in the world. So they watch news here and there. So throughout the day, you expose yourself to thousands of pieces of information about everything. You take your public transport, the tube, the train, the metro, walking, the car. Everywhere you go, there are bombardments of information. You see that on adverts, on public transportation, billboards, outdoors, the radio station. Everything is throwing information into your head. You haven't asked for it. And without noticing it, that is being registered in you. What does this do to the mind? The mind gets saturated, and there comes a time when the person can't even reason. You go home from work at night, and you are like a fried egg. Yes, your brain's like a fried egg. You go home and you think, I'm tired. More mentally than physically, because when the tiredness is physical, it's easy to solve. You take a shower, eat, lie down, and the next day you are renewed. But when the mind is bombarded with information from this world, then you get home, guess what you want to do? You want to sit in front of the TV. You want to throw more information to your mind to try to vent, per se. You won't vent, throwing more information to your head. What do you need to do? You need a break. You need to control what enters your mind. In other words, exercise the spirit of moderation, self-control, and self-regulation. This is what you must do, because when your mind is in its normal, healthy state, you can reason. You can look at your life calmly, make the appropriate decisions, think, plan, and choose well, and logically, this will have precious impacts on your daily life. When you are doing things not moved by stress or emotions, but moved by reason. So, God gives us this spirit, but we need to desire it and embrace it. Our spirit has to submit to the Spirit of God, because the Spirit of God is subject to the spirit of the person. So keep this with you. God has not been giving us spirit of fear, of dread, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Moderation. So invite the Spirit of God, this Spirit, to be in you, to guide you, and allow Him to guide you. Protect your greatest asset, and He will give you many benefits. If today's video helped you and you know someone that could benefit from it, share it with them, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you may do so now. See you later.